everyone. Welcome to the show. I'm excited to be joined by my friend and business partner, Mr. Michael Vincent, Mr. Podcaster Extraordinaire. We work together on fuel reduction, emissions reduction, plastics waste reduction, and all with the common theme of net savings for companies and individuals. It's a win-win scenario.
It is. It is a win-win scenario, man. And here's the thing. You can be, you can go to optusa.earth and you can get involved and you can start moving plastics at a much better, weight to volume metrics and regionally, and we can be recycling your plastics and turning your scrap plastics into a revenue stream, et cetera. And those vehicles that are being used, you go to my other website, you go to the contact that's below or whatever it is, the link, and you get cyber fuels and you save 20% on your fuel too. So instead of paying for plastic recycling from your business, right, you actually make money off of it through optusa.earth, and you can reduce your fuel by 20% at the same time, right? And so, hey, we're keeping plastics out of the oceans, waterways, and landfills, and we're keeping carbon and reducing it from getting into the air. So yeah, dude, I mean, we're doing great stuff, aren't we, Andy?
We are, man. I'm so excited. We're helping companies as we speak spend 10 to 20% less on their fuel.
Yeah.
And you are helping companies use that plastic, spend less on plastic, and keeping it out of landfill incinerators or shipping it to Indonesia, shipping it to China.
This is what we're talking about.
Right. So yes, it's a super exciting times.
And just by using cyber fuels, you're going to reduce your emissions, you're going to reduce your fuel costs by 20%, 10 to 20%, right? Yeah. And the thing is, whether fuel costs a buck or 40, $4 a gallon, you're still going to save that 20%. So it's pretty darn awesome. And the thing is this, using recycled plastics over virgin plastics is up to a 71% reduction in carbon emissions. Realize that? Is that crazy?
And you're getting those plastics for less money, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, it's a win-win on both fronts. Absolutely.
It is.
So, Michael, today you and I are going to be talking about some really interesting things going on in maritime, in particular, wind flaps, wind sails, different fuels being tested and so forth, and some things happening there. So, but it starts with the Neanderthals. I want to.
Which is crazy, right? I was reading. So, yeah, Fast Company. .com I read them. I subscribe to all kinds of newsletters and different things like that. So I never know what I'm going to be reading, right? Science Daily, Plastics Daily, Recycling, whatever, Reuters, Fast Company, it doesn't matter. But the intellectual curiosity just never stops. I'm reading like crazy. That's why I have 5 screens. I do work on one, the other 4 I'm reading stuff, right?
Right, exactly.
But I see this article, I'm looking at the sales, because these new ships are so cool. The sails look so cool. It's like, why? I don't know if you're watching like the yacht racing, like the America's Cup and that type of stuff, racing and championship racing. The sails boats and the catamarans with their foils and all that kind of stuff. They're so cool looking now, and they're so fast. That's what you're looking at on these ships. They're so badass looking. They're very cool. So I wanted to talk about that, and I looked up. I just said, how long have we been sailing? Because I don't know. Do you know off the top of your head how long people have been sailing? No. First thing that comes up is phys.org that says, hey, these guys have been, Neanderthals. There's evidence that Neanderthals were sailing 50,000 years before modern man built their first boat. Right. 100,000 years ago. And now in 2023, it's like a new technology. Right?
I can't imagine, honestly, it's cheap to put wind sails on those massive maritime vessels either.
No, and the thing is that it goes through all these different myths. There's all kinds of myths, and there's myths about even like cyber fuels. People get worried about different things. Hey, I'm going to put an additive in there, therefore my engine warranty is over with, or my maintenance is going to stink. And none of that's true. Check out the link. There, it's not true. Your warranty does not get. In fact, your maintenance gets better.
In fact,
right?
something, it's illegal to void a warranty for the use of an additive. Can you imagine fleets in Canada not using a 4-point depressant? Or
okay, that makes sense. You can't do it for fuel additive. Yeah, right. Because we'd all be out of luck because there's ethanol in our gas.
right. yes, but yes, it's a very, very common thing that people think they might get a voided warranty or an insurance problem. It's never happened in over 60 million gallons of fuel treatment, but there's actually a law on the books called the Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act. Makes it illegal to void a warranty. It also makes it illegal to force the use of a specific additive sold by that OEM only, right? So it's a two-sided law.
Sold by that OEM only is the caveat there, right? That's how they get around saying, hey, high test only or whatever it happens to be, right?
Yes, they can't say Cummins only. You cannot run a Cummins engine without this in it, right? That's illegal. But they also can't say you cannot use an additive. That's
okay.
It.
So that myth is over with. You can, so it doesn't affect. So check the stuff out, dude. You're not gonna. All you're gonna do is reduce your emissions and your fuel cost by like 20%.
Right.
So, I mean, that's all you're gonna do.
Absolutely. But the Neanderthals, they're proving that they were sailing what 20, 30, 40,000 years ago.
100,000 years ago.
100,000 years ago.
50,000 years ago, before man got up and said, hey, let's build a boat and sail to Australia for some reason. I don't know what that was, but yeah, that's what they're saying. So the cool thing about that is, they go through the myths that sails don't work here, they don't work there, and that type of stuff. And what they're finding is that the sails on these ships, now their range isn't 10 to 20%, it's 10 to 90%. And you can imagine it depends on what type of weather you're running through, right?
Right.
So obviously you have better navigation, you have better weather predictions, etc., and you can alter your route to take advantage of those winds. You're not going to accidentally sail into a dead calm and be stuck there for a week or two, which is a great movie if you've never seen Dead Calm. Old but really cool.
Right.
And a dead calm and I got stuck in one once overnight on a sunfish, a little like 12-foot sailboat in the middle of Lake Erie with 3 other guys when I was in high school. We got stuck in a dead calm and we were stuck there overnight.
Oh, man.
Zero wind.
Zero.
Nothing. Zero.
Oh.
Zero wind. Anyway.
Well, quick story. I got stuck in the middle of a lake in Texas one time, but the engine had gone out. So we had to row our way 2 miles to shore. You talk about a workout.
Oh, that'll do it. Your arms are probably still sore.
That was a workout.
That's a long that's a long row.
That's a long ways.
Yeah.
Rowing a bass fishing boat. Basically, it was a ski boat, right? But we're dead in the water. We got to get back. So we're just rowing to get back.
Me and Buddy sat in Lake Erie again. I grew up on Lake Erie, but we sat in Lake Erie, no land in sight, yanking on this Evinrude engine, this outboard engine to get this thing to start. Would not start for like 2 hours. Sun's beating down on us. We're like, we're done. We're just done. And I looked down and it was in forward.
Oh man.
I hope he's not watching this because I've never told him that engine was in forward. I slipped it into neutral and said, let me try. Let me try this. Started it right up. Anyway.
Oh my gosh.
That's not going to happen with these guys.
Story real quick is I was on the middle of this little lake, not a big lake, but we had forgot to put the plug in.
Oh, no plug.
We were sinking. We were literally sinking this boat, a bayliner. And we're like,
bayliner. This wasn't a little boat.
We're like, turn on the sump pump and get us to shore as fast as you possibly can. We were on a little, ski trip thing, And we were like, we better get it to shore within the next 30 minutes or we're in big, big trouble. Typical college kids not really caring or thinking about anything. And
no. Me and this guy, we left Point Place in Toledo and we were going to go to Put in Bay. And if people know that, that's a long trip by boat out across the middle of Lake Erie, and we no compass, no nothing. We just said, it's got to be that way. We just took off until we saw a boat, and we'd go to the boat and say, hey, which way to Put in Bay? And they go, maybe that way. So
yeah,
that's crazy.
Not too long ago, I saw a futuristic looking maritime vessel with these massive sails on it.
Yeah, they're cool.
Yeah,
they're super cool. And, there's a bunch of people jumping on board with this. MOL, Japanese carriers doing it. Even Cargill, U.S. Food, Cargill, one of the, probably, what are they, the largest food producer in the world? Cargill?
Probably so. I think they are. Yeah.
I would argue that they probably are.
Probably one of the
They've got their own ships called Wind Wings, which is super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very cool. And so here's the thing also. Here's the point of this story is obviously it's fun to poke around and say, hey, 100,000 years and we're back to the sail, right? We figured it out. But, Wallenius, what is it? Wallenius
Wilhelmsen. Yeah. Wallenius
yeah.
Wilhelmsen. Yeah.
Yeah. Swedish company. They do a lot of row boats, right? Is what they do. Automobiles and that type of stuff, not boats, ships. 9,300 car slots is not a boat, I don't think.
Yeah, it becomes a ship.
I think it becomes a ship somewhere around 1,000 car places, CEUs becomes a ship somewhere around it. Right. But they're even using it, right? And they're talking about cutting emissions, like I said, 10 to 90%, depending on this, because we have so much better navigation and that type of stuff. The thing is, they're obviously they're hybrids, right? They're wind and alternative fuel hybrids, because at the same time that they've got this, then theirs is called Oceanbird, which is really a cool looking ship. If you don't know it, look it up. It's really super cool. It's also going to run on alternative fuels, and they just bought or committed to buy 4 9,300 CEUs. CEUs, kind of think of it as a TEU, but it's CEU because they're rows, right? So they measure it in CEUs, not TEUs.
Right.
But they're methanol capable and they're ammonia capable as well. So they're going to be running between diesel and methanol and ammonia and wind, right? Which is tremendous, tremendous stuff.
Yeah.
And I just love the idea that they're doing both of these things, because, Andy, it just shows that you don't just sit around for technology to go, and you can't bet on one technology. You can do things now and make yourself flexible moving towards the future and figure out which strategy is going to be best for you while making an impact right this second, right?
Absolutely. No, not too long ago, I had Hapag-Lloyd on the show, and they're doing a ship green with Hapag-Lloyd, where they introduce biodiesel into your shipment. And, basically using biodiesel plus the normal bunker fuel. And you basically decide how much of your shipment you want to use with green fuel. And it really, really cool program. Actually.
Wow. That's really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. It is.
So you get to decide how green your shipment is going to be.
That's right. Yeah.
I suppose it costs more to go greener.
I think, yes, there is a cost. There is.
Why? Otherwise,
Yes. Right.
So do they audit and they'll say, yeah, no, Andy Hedrick guy, he buys the bunker fuel every time, that guy.
I think that what's going on, Michael, as we've been talking about, is people are getting audited on their RFPs, or what are you doing to reduce your greenhouse gas emissions?
Yes.
And this is a program whereby you can sign up and do it right now.
I got you.
I think that it's going to help those companies that decide to do that win more business from the very largest, companies out there that are looking at that second and third level emissions, right?
Yeah.
What are you doing right now to reduce your emissions? Tell me. And
you have to, and you use, what is it called? Veri is one of the auditing companies that you can use, and they got their dashboards, and it tells you exactly what you're doing. And some of the RFPs that are out there and RFQs that are out there you have to show the certificates. You can't just say, hey, I'm doing this. And so
Right.
that's probably what Hapag-Lloyd is saying, right? If you do this, it can be audited, and we're willing to update and that would be part of the cost too, because really when it comes down to it, like in plastics, there's guidelines on what is ocean plastic, what is ocean bound or estuary and that type of stuff when you talk about certified ocean bound plastics. But when it comes down to it, is really there's an agency somewhere that you have paid to do auditing, and now they're willing to stand up in court and say, yes, this is collected right here, and we're going to certify this as OBC, right? And that's really what there's your payment, right? Because it's almost like insurance.
Right. Absolutely. I ran RFPs and RFQs for years. And one of the things in the electronics supply chain world, okay.
Yeah.
One of the things was you had to be certified that you were not using child labor. It wasn't just you saying I'm not. It was audited. You are not using child labor to build these components. Bottom line.
Wow. So, I mean, obviously they were going, wow. So
to the factory, auditing the building and saying, yep, they're okay. They're not employing children to make these components. Yeah, absolutely. To participate in these RFPs, you had to be certified. And I believe it was the EICC, Electronics Industry Code of Conduct, is I believe what it was called. You had to have your certificate with proof that it was up to date, of course, that you were complying with that, which, only makes sense. If let's say you're Dell and you're buying components, and then somebody finds out you're buying components made by 10 and 11-year-olds in a sweatshop factory, that's not going to be good for you. And so
no, it's not going to be good for you. It's not going to be good for Dell.
It's not good for anybody, right? I really was thankful for that program, honestly, not allowing child labor to be used to make those components.
Because the U.S. Customs can, or BATFA or somebody can go and the the government can't put an embargo on specific invoices, right? And hold it indefinitely based on what they figured to be, against, fair labor laws, etc.
Right. Not using
because that happens like in a textile industry quite often, where cotton fibers are deemed to come from specific locations where the government's not too keen on that, and they will your whole order is just done. That's it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it could be on a ship that's sitting in San Pedro Bay waiting to get unloaded, and that's it. It's over with. You're not getting it.
Well, the areas you and I work in fuel reduction, emissions reduction, plastics waste reduction, there's more and more government regulations coming online all the time. I think it's way better to recycle your plastic than to put it somewhere and incinerate plastic with all those emissions. It's got to be greener, right?
Yes. In most cases, it really is. Pyrolysis is what you're talking about. Incineration is different, but pyrolysis is like non-oxygen, super high temperature. There's nothing left, and it turns it into oils. But what it is doing is there are emissions that are coming there. The environmental impact debate rages on, right? It's awful, it's not awful, it's better than nothing. Okay, maybe it is better than nothing, but it's not. So that is yet to be decided, who's got enough money to get the message out there, right? But the fact is that it's turning it back into chemicals that are also not great for the environment, right? It's not turning it into ice cream. You know what I mean?
Right. You're not creating oxygen out of it.
Yeah. And then there's these pesky laws of entropy and thermodynamics and that type of stuff that don't work, right? It takes more energy to turn, diesel back into petroleum than it is to just burn it, right?
Right. And as I understand it with OPT, you're taking scraps and overruns and plastics collected, you're grinding it into usable plastic for production.
Yeah, and the difference is we're doing it at source. So it's the scale and the economics of our technology that is really it. You don't need a $20 million MRF or materials reclamation facility. You don't need 50 sorters picking through all this different trash. The economics are completely different. So you can, if you're producing plastic scraps at your industry, like you make bottles or you make bottle caps or whatever, toys, it doesn't matter. And you have plastic overruns and you have plastic scraps. Our technology can be right there, very economical, and just run the plastics on site. It fully washes, processes, grinds, and it can be put right back into production on site. They don't have to be shipped to anybody. They don't have to go anywhere. And the other thing is, those plastics collected like in your hometown, Andy, they can be recycled in single streams because of the small batch that we do in our technology, and keep them from being downcycled, right? From taking a first run plastic bottle and turning it into a plastic that then comes, gets sent and made into a shoe or something like that. I mean, that once it's done into that fiber or a carpet, it's done. It's not recyclable anymore. But if you keep it in bottle form or in that single stream PET, you can use it. You can recycle it more times, right? So you keep it as a viable material in those single streams longer.
Right.
Is the deal.
Grab it at the source, use it again. And
yeah, exactly. I mean, and now you've got it here in shipping with this wind. I love it because it's old technology, but it's applying new technologies around that old technology to make this 100,000-year-old Neanderthal technology actually useful in 2023 and beyond. That's amazing. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I mean, you're talking about guys running around and have fire. And now we're still using their
yes.
Right, maybe that's not accurate, but
wind sails have been around for a long time, from what I gather.
Yeah, well, evidence would show at least 100,000 years and probably longer than that. But who knows? But the cool thing is applying new technologies to this old technology to come up with a new system that actually is possible of reducing emissions on cargo ships by 90%. And I mean, we're not talking about, 1 TEU ships. We're talking about 10,000 TEU type ships. These are decent sized ships.
Right.
That you can do. Now, I wouldn't recommend sailing it through, the Suez. That's tough. I had a friend who could sail all the way into the marina and dock his boat with sails under sail power, no motor.
Really?
Which is pretty. That's talent. That's some talent.
Skills.
Yeah, that's some talent to be able to do something like that.
Well, there's so many fun topics that we love to cover in the sustainability world. This is obviously a lot of fun, and there'll be more to come, I'm sure, in the weeks ahead.
Yeah, I'm 100% sure. I'm 100% sure. Hey, don't wait for technology. There's things that you can do. Smash the button, get a demo, and test out the cyber fuels. It works. It works, and all it's going to do is reduce your emissions and save you up to 20% on your fuel consumption, which is an amazing amount of money. Just do the math. I'm sure you got a calculator.
Right, absolutely. 10 to 20% net savings on fuel spend is a big deal. Yes.
Yeah. It's not like you spend 100% of your, or 200% of your fuel savings to just save 10% on your fuel savings. It's net 10%.
Net 10 to 20% is what we're getting with fleets and engines. Absolutely.
Yeah.
After the cost of cyber fuels. It's a lot of fun, man. Frankly.
Right on.
A lot of fun. Well, that'll do it for this show. Michael, as always, it's been a lot of fun. Thanks for coming on with me.
Of course, man. Anytime. Peace and love.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for listening or watching, everybody. Be sure and click on Michael's Sustainiacs link below. You can reduce your fuel spend by 10 to 20%. Why not do that? So
I don't know.
Click on that and we will get you underway. Take care, everybody. We will see you again soon.
Right on.